and welcome to a solo edition of Taking Over. I am OLED Ed Fries, and my partner Astrid Pizarro is not able to be here tonight, but she will be back next week as we go ahead and talk about the go-home show for Deadline as we get ready for our preview shows that we've got coming up. We got all kinds of good stuff coming up next week, but this week we got to talk about this show. And on this week's show, we had some good stuff. We had some bad stuff. We had some okay stuff. We had a bunch of different things going on this week. Make sure that if you need an energy kick like I'm going to need next week, you go ahead and get your Rogue Energy and go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off your order. Go ahead and go on their website. They got all kinds of fantastic flavors and all kinds of good stuff going on right now for the holiday season that they can give you that kick that you need to be able to get through the holidays with your family, because we all know family can suck sometimes. Speaking of the family, boom, we start off there. Look at that transition. I can even do it solo. We've got the family taking on the Garzas, as I call them, Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza. This is a fun match. I really enjoyed this. A lot of back and forth. My biggest criticism is that most of this match took place during the commercial break. A large majority of it took place during that, the picture-in-picture, which again, I love that we at least get picture-in-picture, but I wish that we wouldn't have so much picture-in-picture, as we can go ahead and get more of watching the in-ring action. Watching, as always, in when she can't be herself, Familia versus the family. Yes, Familia versus family. It's always great to see Tony D'Angelo in the ring. And you know what? Really enjoyed this match. Had a whole bunch of fun. We go ahead and we get the end finishing sequence is they hit the bada bing, bada boom. They throw Humberto to the outside. And then Tony grabs Stacks and he kisses him on both cheeks. And he says, "I love you, but you got to go." And he takes him and he throws him over the top rope right on top of Humberto Carrillo and goes ahead and pins Angel Garza for the 1, 2, 3. Really fun match. Really enjoyed the stuff that happened here. And it sets up that the Garzas can now quietly disappear from NXT and hopefully show up this Friday backing up Santos Escobar, because that's what I want to see from them. From here, the family's going to have new challengers, and with the Creeds gone and with the Garzas looking like they're on their way out the door, anything is possible for potential next challengers. We'll have to wait and see. We see one of the potential next challengers in the next segment as we have Idris Enofe and Malik Blade backstage talking about the match that they just saw, but they get overshadowed by Nathan and Axiom sitting on the couch having a chat about last week's video package that they have playing from Baron Corbin talking about Ilja Dragunov. And this segment is chef's kiss, just perfection. Nathan Frazer, being the good babyface he is, talking about how it wasn't great, it wasn't fantastic to see, how lonely Ilja is. But going, that's sometimes what you got to do, but I don't know if it would be worth it for me to be able to be away from my family, to not have them here, to be that lonely, to have to live that kind of a life. He goes, and then you look at Baron Corbin, he's got all the cars, and he's got the money, and he's got the wife, and he's got all this good stuff. He's like, he's living a nice and easy life. And he says, you know what? I'd probably choose that life. And of course, Ilja Dragunov is standing right behind him off camera and walks into frame and goes, "Oh, really?" And Nathan's like, "Oh, shit, I done fucked up." And Ilja starts going off on him. He's like, no. I wasn't saying that he's right or that your life is bad. I'm just saying if I had the choice between the two, I'd probably choose that life. And Ilja doesn't get it. And Ilja thinks that he's, taking shots at him for being away from his son. He's saying that it's not a right idea to be away from his son. Ilja is just enraged with this, and Nathan's trying to cool it off, and Axiom kind of disappears because Axiom knows better than to get involved in this kind of stuff. So he kind of just slides away, and he says, and Ilja at the end of this says, "I know how to deal with this." And I'm like, ooh, sounds like a match. As Astrid says, two of my favorites. Yes. Two absolute fantastics. We got a kid, Axiom, sitting there, hanging out with his good friend and a little bit older man, Nathan Frazer. We then get Kelani Jordan making her entrance before we go to a commercial break. But unfortunately, when we come back, we don't get the match that I was hoping for at this point. We get two segments back to back. One being a video package for Johnny Gargano's return to NXT. And that was good. It was fun. It recapped him winning the North American title from Ricochet. It recapped some of his moments with the North American Championship. It recapped that he is the only 3-time North American champion. Shows him beating Damian Priest. Ashton probably didn't like that. Shows him in all kinds of great spots with that North American Championship. It was a really cool video package. We then get Jensen and Briggs backstage with Fallon Henley as they talk about the big win for Briggs last week, as he talks about, beating Carmelo Hayes is a big moment in my career. Now I'm in the Iron Survivor and I've got a chance in this thing. He doesn't, but it's nice to see him in here because I think he's going to be able to show off a lot of who he is and what he's about in this Iron Survivor match. He's really going to have an opportunity to show up and show out. Meanwhile, Lexis King starts coming in and starts running down Jensen and congratulates Briggs and does the right thing. It's like, yeah, JBL saw something in you and look, you proved him right. You got in there. You got the big win because of me. And now you're in the Iron Survivor. I'm not in the Iron Survivor. I didn't get chosen by anybody. And then he says, Jensen, you didn't get chosen by anybody. He even says Fallon got chosen. He's like, Fallon, they even saw something in you and they chose you. And then he creepily hits on Fallon, I think. I don't think she liked it. I know Briggs didn't like it because Briggs stepped up and Briggs went ahead and Ashford says he did. I think he did too, but it wasn't very clear from the segment whether or not he really hit on her or whether he just started paying attention to her. Either way, it was creepy. Briggs goes ahead and says that that Jensen is going to go ahead and straighten him out later tonight. I'm like, all right, another fun match because we didn't have a lot of matches coming into tonight. We had the 2 Iron Survivor matches. We had the tag team title match, and we thought we were getting, and we ended up getting Arianna Grace and Carmen, but that was never fully announced by NXT. So one of those matches that might have moved, might not have moved. So it was nice to see all that. As Fallon said, as Ashford says, Jensen almost jumped him. Yeah, Jensen was ready to jump him too. The only thing I'm sad about is that Jensen didn't come out to his new entrance music. So apparently that was only for the house show, just to pop the crowd that was there in attendance for the taping night when they did the dark match tapings. We then did get Kiana's entrance and Kiana versus Kelani. This is going to be a tongue twister. For a spot in the Iron Survivor. And this match played out exactly kind of how you thought it would. Kiana dominated a lot of the match. Kelani would get a bunch of spots in. Then she'd get dominated again. It was a good back and forth. I really enjoyed it. And then Roxanne comes out and starts ringing the bell. Man, everybody wanted to play with the ring bell tonight. It's like no wrestler's ever touched the ring bell before. This is not the last time we're going to hear somebody trying to touch and take the ring bell. And she goes ahead and rings the bell, so Kiana's very confused. And that's just enough of an opening for Kelani to go ahead and hit a couple moves, and then go ahead and be able to hit her split-legged moonsault for the 1, 2, 3. And yes, as I predicted last week, Kiana James was in this match, and Kiana James lost this match due to Roxanne Perez. I also called the men's match correctly by saying that it was going to be Braun Breaker versus Eddie Thorpe. Called a lot of things last week that turned out to be true this week. We also found out that we're getting last chance matches next week for the final spot. That sounds like, based on the people who are talking about it, sounds like it's going to be all 4 people who lost their qualifying matches. Oh, I might have predicted something like that too last week. I was a bit on fire last week, apparently. Not so much this week. Anyways. Yeah, Ashley didn't like how many times I was right last week when I kept reminding her in the chat as we watched the show. We then get a Cameron Grimes video package, which shows him talking about how when he came to NXT, he only had one goal, and that was to win a championship for his father, who passed away shortly after he was signed to the NXT roster, and he said that the one thing he was going to do for his father was win a championship, and he did. He won the North American Championship. He had a really great reign the summer that year that was that Cameron Grimes time. It's shocking to think now, less than a year or two later, that Cameron Grimes has completely disappeared and he's nowhere to be found with the way he was over and the way the crowd was into him. It's really, really interesting. Your Barry Monkey jumping in and saying the NXT women's roster over the last few months has improved massively. Yeah, it really has. They've gone ahead, and a lot of these girls are finally hitting that 1 year, 2 year mark, and we're starting to really see those improvements from a lot of these in-ring talents. We're seeing Kiana James take that next step. We're seeing Fallon Henley start to take that next step. We've seen for a while now Tiffany Stratton take that next step. We're going to see when she returns, as we saw in a video package today, that Nikita Lyons is coming back. I assume that we're probably going to see her slowly take that next step since she missed almost a year of her career with that injury. But I have a feeling that she's been training and she's getting ready, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to continue to take that step because she was starting to get there before she got hurt. On top of that, we have young female talent who are hungry and ready to go with people like Kelani Jordan, Arianna Grace, Carmen Petrovic. We've got some of these talents learning and getting better. Lola Vice, while they're not there yet, they're making improvements. They're going in the right direction at least. And the recipe to success with this is training, and TV time. These girls are being given TV time. Yes, maybe it's only 3 or 4 minute matches. Maybe it's not, 5, maybe 6 minute matches. It's short matches, but you know what? They're getting out there in front of a live crowd. They're getting to learn to do what they need to do to play off the crowd and to try to do it in an atmosphere that makes sense and that brings them up. And you know what? That's the best thing about this. When you give your women time to develop, shockingly, they develop. Now, not all of them are going to be winners. Flash Legend included in this. Not all of your women's talents are going to improve and get better. Dana Brooke was another talent who never seemed to, with no matter how much time she got, never really seemed to get that next level. So we'll have to see with some of these younger wrestlers whether they can hit that next level or not. But I love that NXT continues to give them time. And on this show, we had 2 matches and 3 more segments with the women, which involved a variety of women. So it's nice to see what's going on, who's around, the things that are happening, and all that kind of fun stuff. Speaking of the women's division, my buddy Rob says Cora Jade is better than all. Cora Jade hopefully will be returning sometime, but I don't think we're going to be seeing her return to NXT. I think that period of time for her is probably done. And I think that she is probably headed to the main roster with a debut at the Royal Rumble. Time will tell about something like that. After the Cameron Grimes video package, we go ahead and get an Alpha Academy segment backstage where they all start talking crap about Metaphor. Thank God. It's about time somebody did this. And they go ahead and challenge a 6-person tag with Maxine and a version of the tag team, whether it be Otis and Chad Gable, which is what I expect, but it could be Otis and Akira Tozawa as well, or it could be Akira Tozawa and Gable, as those are the 2 people who have had matches with the Metaphor explicitly with Noam Dar going forward. So it'll be interesting to see what group Alpha Academy puts up there, as unfortunately or fortunately, Metaphor only has 1 group, and yeah, the less we talk about that, the better. We get the NXT Anonymous segment that I had shown to Astrid earlier in the day, where Lexis King attacked Trick. We don't see it, and I have a theory here. So what we do see on this is Trick all excited coming back from the in-ring area, all excited for being announced that he's in the world title match. And he walks through a doorway, and Lexis King is just standing there waiting. And Lexis King starts walking to the doorway, And as he gets close to it, he runs through the door. And that's all we see. We see nothing else beyond that. Here's my pitch. Lexis King runs through that doorway, and Carmelo Hayes has already attacked Trick. Trick is already at this point on the ground, being attacked by Carmelo, and Lexis King just walks away. He didn't do it, and I don't think he's going to. And I think this is perfect because Lexis King, since the beginning, has put pieces out there that he's done this, but he's never said he did, and he's never said he didn't. He just alludes to the fact that he might have and lets everybody else make their own conclusions. In the end, I still think this is going to be Carmelo Hayes. I still think Carmelo did it. I still think he was jealous of the opportunity that Trick was going to be in this match and wanted to make sure he didn't have to wrestle his friend. And I think that's going to come out, and it's probably going to come out around a deadline, probably at the event where Carmelo probably screws Trick in some way to make Trick lose the Iron Survivor match. Because Melo didn't win it, so Trick can't win it as well. But we'll have to wait and see on that. We then get the press conference from Chase University, and this was a bit longer than I would have liked. They treated this like it was an actual press conference, like it was an actual investigation that people were conducting, which is nice. Like they gave it some legitimacy by making it feel like something that you would see on an ESPN or something like that when a school's being investigated for fraud or something like that. So I liked the fact that they had all of these people here. I like that he really went into detail with it. After said she liked that detail too. Yeah, it was nice. But in the end, he says that the allegations are about gambling and misuse of university funds, specifically using university funds apparently to gamble. Which is funny because I've seen it on Twitter, and it was shown to me by Astrid that who is this? Wrestling Should Be Fun pointed it out that it's long-term storytelling that Chase U has an issue with gambling, as Duke was a dealer of poker before in a previous gimmick, so it makes a lot of sense that it would be gambling. I think that, and this is again something I kind of call. I like the idea that it was, Andre Chase gambling on matches. I think that makes a lot of sense. Using the university funds to do it because he doesn't have the money makes a bit of sense. This is all fun. He says that the allegations are true and that he will recoup the university all of the money in which he has borrowed in full. He tells us that he owes significant funds, and he's asked who he thinks might have leaked it. And he says he has his suspicions on who might have leaked it, but he doesn't want to deal with that at this time. At this point, Ashford pointed it out to me, and I did notice it as well. At this point, Chasey Jane, who was standing next to Andre Chase, pushed her sunglasses way up when asked who leaked it. And I think it's interesting. I don't think it's Chasey Jane who leaked it. I think it's going to come out that Thea Hale leaked this, and she did it in a rage because she had found out about it beforehand, and she did this after Andre Chase had thrown in the towel on her when she faced Tiffany Stratton in the submission match. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that would be a fun way to go ahead. And like Ashford says, instead of throwing in the towel on Andre Chase during the tag match, she went ahead and she ruined the university that he loves instead. Time will tell. I like the storyline. It's interesting. They're giving us pieces. They're drip feeding it, but they're letting us have this over a period of time. They're not rushing it. There's no spot they have to get to for this. They can take their time with this, and they are. Every week we get a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I like the teases. I like the drip feeding of stuff. All in all, really good segment. Also great to hear. You didn't see him, but it's also great to hear Jeremy Borash back there, as he was at one of the people who was there pretending to be the media, asking questions as Jeremy Borash, for all of you Impact fans, Barry Monkey included, remember him from the wonderful time that Josh Matthews served at Impact, where he did a lot of things behind the scenes. He was a ring announcer. He was a commentator. He did everything and anything for that company at various times. So Borash is always nice to hear. Yeah, and then we got our second Iron Survivor match from Jerry Lawler, which is, again, a match that I had predicted would happen. We go ahead and we have Braun Breaker taking on Eddy Thorpe. This is the moment where we talk about Mel and how happy Mel will be that Eddy Thorpe was on her television screen. It's fantastic. It was a good match. There wasn't anything really to it. It was a glorified squash match, showcase match, I guess, for Eddy Thorpe. He got a bunch of offense in, but at the end of the day, there was no way he was winning it, and the match kind of told that same story. And he eventually ended up eating a big-ass spear and getting pinned 1, 2, 3. You got Braun Breaker in the Iron Survivor, which makes a lot of sense, based on, yeah, that spear looked like it hurt. Ouch. Big ouch. The Iron Survivor match is looking very, very interesting now from the men's side, as we have Braun Breaker, Dijak, Trick Williams, and Josh Briggs. I don't know what they're thinking, but this is the biggest Iron Survivor match that's ever happened. I mean, these guys are all big dudes. So I'm very excited to see what goes with this. I'm very excited to see who's going to win that last chance match between Carmelo, Eddy Thorpe. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting match with Carmelo and Eddy Thorpe in there. Tyler Bate and Joe Coffey. So that's going to be an interesting match next week as we see that fatal four-way that I expect we're going to see next week. We also have a backstage segment with Trick Mello where we go ahead and we see the two of them back there, and Trick is completely down with the idea that it's Lexis King. And Mello's piping up, and he's like, yeah, we got to take care of him. We got to get him out. We got to get him out of there. Let's jump him tonight. And I love this. Trick is like, no, you know what? No. I got to keep my mind focused. I got to keep my mind right. I got to win this Iron Survivor. Mel's like, well, I don't have an Iron Survivor to keep my mind on. I don't have to focus on the Iron Survivor because I lost my opportunity. And Trick says, that's fine. And then he said something very interesting. And I love this because it shows the transition from heels to baby faces that these two have made. And Mello starting to go back to the heel with what he's saying here. Trick says, we don't need to distract during matches anymore. We don't need to jump people from behind anymore. We are better than that. And I thought that was very interesting because it's the two things that Carmelo Hayes proposed that we do tonight is jump Lexis King from behind and attack him like Trick got attacked, or both of them go out there and make sure that they distract him during his match so he can't win his match tonight. Which, again, makes a lot of sense as to why they would do it. It makes sense in the story that they want to go out there and take care of Lexis King and to deal with him. But at the same time, it makes sense that Trick Williams is a babyface. He's like, look, we can settle this a different way. I can get him in the ring at one point, and me and him can go out there and we can settle our differences one-on-one. I like this. It shows that Trick is gone to the babyface side, and it shows Mello taking step back and step back and step back further towards the heel side, which again, I think is going to come out that Trick Williams was still attacked by Carmelo Hayes. All right. This next segment was a clusterfuck of a segment. I don't know all of the people who were in the room, but I do know that we have the variety of women in the NXT women's locker room, most of which I couldn't figure out who they were. And we have Roxanne Perez walk in, all excited that she made sure that since Kiana screwed her, she screwed Kiana back. So it's even Steven, and neither one of them are getting in there. And then Ava pipes up in the back of the room and goes, yeah, but there's a last chance match. And when Shawn Michaels was talking about it with somebody else, there's going to be a last chance matches for both the men and the women to get in the Iron Survivor. And this is where we find out that it's going to be Kiana, Roxanne, Fallon, and who did Tiffany beat? I don't remember. All I remember that Tiffany was in it. Because as we know, when Tiffany's on screen...
All I have to say now is it's Tiffy time.
Yeah, we're going to get our use out of that thing because it's slowly becoming obsolete as she's getting less and less TV time right now. But this leads to a brawl between Kiana James, who's still very angry that she lost her opportunity in the Iron Survivor. Tiffany beat Fallon Henley. So, it's tonight. Kiana, Roxanne, Fallon, Ash beat Roxanne, Astrid, who am I missing? Tiffany beat Fallon, Roxanne got beat by Lash, Kiana, who's the fourth woman in the match? Blair Davenport, and Blair Davenport beat somebody. Thea Hale, yes. So Thea will be the last person. Thank you, Astrid, for going ahead and putting that out for me. Thea Hale will be the fourth woman in that match next week, which again, it'll be a fun match. I really enjoyed that. It'll be great. We then get a Bronson Reed video package, and I like this. We're showcasing all of these former North American champions. We have this video footage of them winning the title. We might as well showcase it. And I think it's funny that a lot of these guys won the title off of each other in some form or fashion. Johnny Gargano wins it off of... Johnny Gargano doesn't win it off of anybody in this match. But Cameron Grimes goes ahead and beats Bronson Reed for the title. And Bronson Reed, I believe Grimes beat Bronson Reed. But I do know that Bronson Reed did beat Johnny Gargano in that steel cage match that they showed us. It's great. It's another fun video package. And then we get Ilja coming out for a match with Nathan Frazer. And this was anything but a match. This was a beatdown. Plain and simple. We have Asher popping in saying, I love the video package to remind everyone of what they all did at NXT. Yeah, because some of them have had a bad, rough time on the main roster and might have forgotten why these guys are here, why it's important that they're here, and why we should care that they're here. So the video packages did a good job of reinstilling to us who these guys are, what they're doing, and why they're here. Ilja just absolutely wrecks poor Nathan Frazer here. Frazer did not get much in on this match. Ilja was out of his mind angry at the things that he believes Nathan said. I mean, I don't know. As Vic says, you know, in Ilja's head, he talks shit about Ilja's family and how Ilja as a father and as a champion, and that's not going to go well when you got a guy as prideful as Ilja Dragunov. And he has him down with one H-bomb. It's pretty much over. But Ilja says, no, that's not enough. And he delivers two more H-bombs before finally pinning Nathan Frazer for the 1-2-3 in a very, very fast match. I was expecting a bit more showcase for Nathan Frazer here than a glorified squash match. But it does show off how dangerous Ilja Dragunov can be. We then get Baron Corbin via satellite talking about how he just absolutely decimated Nathan Frazer there. And you know what? He's going to talk to him via a screen because that's what Ilja likes to do the best when he talks to people. Talk to people through screens. Baron, that hits home. I do my work on YouTube where I talk to people through screens and my friends live around the world and I talk to them through screens. So it's a bit of a low blow there. But he goes ahead and continues calling out his lifestyle. He continues calling out the fact that Ilja chooses to be alone and his family is in Russia and he's still in Germany, but he's still here. And he goes ahead and says, guess what? At Deadline, I'm going to take that title off of you. I'm going to free you from all of this obligations of being the champion. And you can go back to Russia. And you can go back to Germany. I'm sorry. I keep saying Russia. He's not Russian. His character is Russian, but he lives in Germany. He goes, you know what? I'll even fly you there first class. I'll upgrade your coach ticket to first class. Very nice of Baron Corbin. He's got that money. He's going to go ahead and put it to good use. Give him an early Christmas present. Ilja should be very thankful for this. I don't think Ilja is going to be very thankful. We do find out that next week they're going to be face-to-face. I'm assuming we're going to be getting a contract signing, although that wasn't announced by NXT tonight. But I would imagine that's what we're going to get later on this week, that we'll get a contract signing for next week. We have Lyra backstage talking to Mackenzie Mitchell about what's next now that she's defeated Xia Li. And she says, you know, it's whoever wins the Iron Survivor match. Not sure who it's going to be. Could be anybody. Could be any one of these women. You know what? Whoever it is, I'm going to be ready for it. And then Fallon comes in randomly. And she talks about how, you know, it's the last chance match and she's going to go ahead and get it. And she calls herself Top Shelf. Honey, you can't reach the top shelf, let alone being top shelf liquor. I'm sorry, Fallon. You're not top shelf. You're like that. You're not the bargain basement flavor, you know, brand name of like crap stuff that you get, but you're that next level up. You're not the good stuff. You're not Johnny Walker. You're not Southern Comfort. You're not that good. You're that next level down. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Astrid. I had to do it. And then, out of the corner, for no reason whatsoever, Tatum Paxley's just there waving and saying something. And Fallon's like, is she with you? And she's like, and Lyra's like, no, she's not with me. So apparently we've got some kind of weird stalker gimmick going on for... Maybe she just wants to make friends. Maybe she's a stalker. I don't know. It's interesting. Again, new direction. Another woman on TV that we haven't seen in a while. Giving her TV time. TV time is always impressive. So the more TV time you can give to these individuals, especially the ones that won't be wrestling week in and week out, the better off things are going to be. So, not so bad. We then get a Carmen Petrovic video package, which, by the way, was pretty good. It wasn't too in-depth. It didn't give us a lot. But it gave us something. It gave us a reason for what's going on and why it's going on and everything else. So it'll be interesting to see if we get more of these video packages from more of this women's talent, because this was nice. I enjoyed this. It didn't take long, but it gave us more of an idea of who she is, more than just a breakout tournament. And they tell us that the match is going to be next. Yeah, it was good background, as Ashford says. It was good background on her. It wasn't too in-depth. We're still lacking a reason to like her, but it gives us a little bit more, which is all we need. I want these in-character vignettes because I was raised on wrestling in the 90s where we'd get these all the time. We get these little vignettes with people and they would be kind of in character and talking about who they are and what they're doing. And it's always nice to just give that little bit of an extra push, to give them some TV time, give them something that they can sink their teeth into as a promo without having to be on a live microphone where they might be able to screw up. You can go ahead and do this 5, 10, 20 times till you get it right. And you know what? WWE, if they do nothing else, they do great video packages and vignettes. They get this shit right. They always try to make their talent look better in these video packages, and that's an important thing to know about that. We then get Metaphor looking like they're in the mountains going skiing, which is always fantastic. God, I hate Metaphor. I can't wait for this group to break up. I really can't. I really can't. It needs to happen sooner rather than later. But they accept the challenge. So next week, it is going to be a 6-person tag between Metaphor versus the Alpha Academy. We get a video package of Joe Gacy under the ring. with people on top of the ring making noise. And he films this vignette from under the ring. And he knocks on the ring and asks them how they're doing. And he talks about how people take him for granted and they think that they're all better than him. And they think that people think they're all above him. So he made it so they were literally above him as he was under the ring. It's just, I still don't love the idea, but I love the creativity. It's a little off the wall. It's a little wacky. It's a little different. It's just fun, and I like it. I'm getting into this. Joe Gacy's a super talented guy. Whatever he does is going to be interesting and is going to be intriguing once he gets in the ring and starts making it happen. Until we get there, it's going to be a bit of a slog trying to get through whatever character they're trying to work out with him. And I just wish that we'd get a more defined character or get him in the ring doing stuff so that we know what direction he's going to go. And Barry's right. I like the idea of someone living under the ring. I do too. I've always found it fascinating that when they have people under the ring during matches and whatnot to have a spot or something like that, I love the idea of having people under the ring. It makes a lot of sense. It's something that you don't do very often in terms of seeing under it. So it was nice to see what was under there. It was nice to see how much space he has or how little space he has. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting take. And again, Gacy's a weird creative guy, so this weird creative direction makes a lot of sense. So I'm down for this because it did a lot of good for Joe Gacy, and I'm more into this than I was into him on top of the building talking about how he's seeing everything from a different perspective and throwing his phone off the building that he was filming on. Little things here and there. It's good. Gacy should rob stuff every week building a home. That would be funny. That would be hysterical to see him start like getting a blanket or getting somebody's jacket or attire, things that we see people wearing or having around, and just see him just start piling it all up under the ring. Could be interesting. I could be down for something like that. We get the match between Arianna Grace and Carmen Petrovic, and it's not the greatest match in the world. It's not the worst match in the world. It was a TV match. It happened. It didn't get a ton of time, but it got more than I expected it to get. At one point before a commercial break, they went ahead and had Joe Gacy steal the ring bell. Yes, Joe Gacy crawled out from under the ring, took the ring bell, and ran up the ramp with it. And at one point ended up in the crowd with it. Really interesting. I won't say it's good. I won't say it's bad. It's interesting. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt to see what they do with it. But this was okay. I didn't hate it. Arianna Grace does get the win with a nice big slam. Congrats to her. And again, pushing Arianna Grace is a good thing. I think of some of those breakout girls, I think that she's the most ready to continue moving forward and having bigger and better matches because of the fact that, she's Santino's daughter. She's been doing this a bit. She really seems to have gotten the understanding of what she's doing. But more importantly, she knows her character. She knows her character inside and out, and she plays the character anytime the camera is on her. And you can't teach something like that. You can't teach the ability to just be on and just be who you're supposed to be. And she's invested in this character, probably because it's more real than people understand, that she's won beauty pageants and stuff like that. So it makes sense that she'd be there. And it makes sense that she's doing this. So I like that. And you can't teach that. Big Bill. Real One. Yeah, those guys are weird. Yeah, you had to. It's unfortunate. What's up, Ed? Hi, Dar Amazing. Thank you for joining us. Where's Ashley? Ashley was unable to be able to join me tonight. Something came up. She will be back next week. No reason to fear. Just not a good night for a lot of us here. So, Ashley just needed to take a night off and just relax. So she's here in the chat. So if you want to talk to her, she's right there. She can give you her thoughts as I give you my thoughts right here on the ring, on the show. yeah, we all have good days. We all have bad days. We got a lot of stuff going on. Astrid wasn't able to really, sink her teeth into the episode. So I told her I'd go ahead and just take the show solo as we get ahead and we go to next week. And while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about next week before we go into the stuff that happened next week. Next week, we have Taking Over on Tuesday. Me and Astrid will be back right here talking about all things NXT on Taking Over as we have the Deadline Go Home show where we find out the final card for Deadline. As right now, we only have 2 matches officially signed. Well, we have 4 matches officially signed, but 2 of those matches are missing participants. But we have the 2 Iron Survivors, 1 for the men, 1 for the women. We have the World Championship match, and we're going to have, as we'll find out in the main event, we are going to definitely have a North American title match. What else we have on that card, it'll be interesting to find out because there's not really a bunch more story left to tell. I could see Carmelo Hayes versus Lexis King being that spot. Lexis King getting a premium live event spot would make sense. Carmelo Hayes makes sense from a storyline perspective. They've built enough where I think you could have a basic singles match here as a way to go ahead and think about it. Yeah, I'm not thinking a tag match. We just had a tag title defense tonight. There's no obvious people ready for a tag team championship match. So I think that they get the night off. And Barry Monkey says, little things about Grace impress me. She's really confident in the ring. She's got a bright future. Yeah, like I said, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think she is, of the breakout girls, I think she is the most ready for the next level. I like that Lola Vice has the contract. I would have preferred it on Arianna Grace because I think you can get a better match for cashing in that championship if you do it with her. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world to have it with Lola Vice, to go ahead and give her a profile, to give her a reason for people to care about her. So that hopefully when she cashes it in and probably loses, but it still gives her an opportunity to be in that scene, be around that championship. And we have no idea how long that contract is good for. So there's no telling when she has to use it. It could be 8 months. It could be a year from now before she has to use this. So there's plenty of time for her to get better in the ring to have a better match. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. Going back to next week. So we have the Takeover Go Home show. And then Ashton and I are going to be joined on our pre-show and our post-show with the one and only Jose on the air. Jose Gonzalez himself is going to be joining us. I'm very excited. It'll be my first time working with Jose. Ash has worked with him a couple of times, so it'll be fun for her to go ahead and hang out with her friend Jose as I get the opportunity to meet and work with Jose for the first time. It'll be a bunch of fun. Those will probably both be Saturday shows. We might do Friday night for the preview show. It'll all come down to planning. We haven't quite narrowed that down yet, but you will know by next week's Taking Over. We'll have a definitive calendar timeline of when those shows will be taking place. So make sure you keep it locked here. Find out all about those shows as they come up in the future. Speaking of Lexis King and potentially taking on Carmelo Hayes, Lexis King here took on Brooks Jensen. It was an all right match. It wasn't anything to write home about. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. I think Lexis King is still being kind of drip fed to us. They don't quite know exactly what they're doing with him, but he's got a direction. He's involved in this Trick, Mellow, Lexis King storyline, and I think that makes sense. They don't need to start him from the bottom. They can start him from the middle. They can start him with Trick Williams. They can start him with Carmelo Hayes because he's able to do that. I know people don't like him on the microphone. I think he's done a fine job on the microphone so far. I think he's holding up his end of the bargain when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm perfectly fine with Lexis King in this spot. Match is pretty good. But Carmelo Hayes at one point is watching the match backstage with Trick and he says, I got to go handle some business. He leaves Trick alone. He goes out to the ring, but Briggs, being the good tag team partner that he is, goes ahead and stops Carmelo from interfering. But that kind of throws off Jensen's mindset. His focus is thrown off a little bit because of all the extracurricular stuff going on the outside. Lexis King goes ahead and hits a spot and then hits his finish, which is still not the greatest finish, but, you know, I'm willing to give it some time. It's a lot better than Lyra Valkyria's finish was for a long time, so we'll see what we got. But I like the idea that Mello went out there. It makes sense that Mello wants to get it because Mello wants to make sure it's anybody but me, and he wants to be all down for his boy. I still think that Trick Williams was attacked by Carmelo Hayes. But that leads us into finding out what we've got next week. And like I said, next week is the last chance matches. We're going to have all the people who lost their qualifying matches for the Iron Survivor go ahead and get in there. And I think it is going to be on the men's side. Let's see. We got Dijak. We got Bron. We got Trick. And we got Briggs. It could go either way. We could have a heel. We could have a baby face. I'm thinking Joe Coffey makes a lot of sense here. Joe Coffey or Tyler Bate. One of the two of them, I think, will win that match. I don't think Eddie Thorpe is anywhere close to winning that match. And I think Carmelo Hayes is still going to be entwined with this Lexis King storyline. So I don't think we're going to see Carmelo Hayes getting into the Iron Survivor. Although I'd love to see Mello win and have Mello be the one to maybe break up a pin or Trick to win the Iron Survivor, and Mello goes ahead and breaks up the pin. Something like that could be a lot of fun. We then have the Women's Iron Survivor Last Chance qualifying match, which will be interesting. Like I said, we're going to have Fallon Henley, we're going to have Kiana James, we're going to have Thea Hale, and we're going to have Roxanne Perez. Again, I cross out Roxanne, I cross out Kiana James. I don't think either of them are winning this. So it comes down to Thea Hale or Fallon Henley. They had Fallon out there with the champ tonight, so you would think you would lean Fallon. I'm going to lean Thea Hale. I think it'd be good to have Thea in this match. Because I think she can handle the type of match this is going to be. This is an interesting style match that I want to see how Thea responds to, because it's not exactly your typical standard, one fall match with the Iron Survivor. So I'll be excited to see where that goes. And then, of course, we get the 6-person tag the mixed tag between Metaphor and Alpha Academy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully Alpha Academy wins that, so we can go ahead and have one more match, and that might be the match. After they win next week, it might be that Alpha Academy gets one more crack at the Heritage Cup, and either Otis or Chad Gable will get a shot at Noam Dar going into the pay-per-view, which, again, is a storyline we've been telling for weeks, so it makes a whole bunch of sense. So I don't see any reason why it couldn't be on the card there. And then we get to our main event of the evening, and this was fun. Fatal 4-way match between Wes Lee, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed, with Dominic Mysterio on commentary. A lot of fun to be had here. Fatal 4-ways typically are always pretty good. The one big guy in this really works. And Bronson Reed, above all, really works in that spot, because Bronson Reed is just such a mammoth man. But at the same time, he's not a bad worker. He can really go. He has the agility to be able to keep up with these smaller guys. He has the ability to really tell a good story. He knows what his character is, and he kind of does it. It really worked out well here. One great spot is Cameron Grimes tries to schoolboy Bronson Reed. He tries to do a sunset flip into a pin, and he can't get Bronson over. So Wes Lee bounces off the ropes, and he tries to just kind of run into Bronson Reed, and Bronson catches him. And so Johnny Gargano goes and gets behind Cameron Grimes, who's on the ground trying to roll Bronson Reed over onto his back. And he goes ahead and uses Cameron Grimes' head as a slingshot. And he slingshot Cameron Grimes' head right into the nether regions, shall we say, of Bronson Reed. And Bronson sells it great. He just drops Wes Lee, and he sort of just stands there and just holds it. And Gargano's laughing. And Dominic Mysterio on commentary isn't happy. By the way, Dominic Mysterio on commentary, chef's kiss. He's just such an asshole that it's just so great. And he's such a petty little bitch that it's just so much great storytelling. Yeah, but as Barry says here, good match with the least surprising result in wrestling history. Yeah, we all kind of thought that Wes Lee was going to win this, and because it's leading to the North American title match. But I liked how they got there. I'm okay with the result being predictable as long as the route there is fun. And this was a fun, like you say, it was a good match. The match was entertaining. The match took about 20 minutes, which I was surprised by, considering there was so little time left in the show, as they kept saying, and our main event's coming up soon. And I'm like, well, you better get to it because this is a fatal four-way and I want a good time with this. You got decent amount of time. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff here. That was a great spot. Another really great spot is Bronson Reed goes ahead and he's written out of this match fantastically because Ivar comes out and they had their big match on Raw this Monday night where they had their big street fight type match, and Ivar's not done with Bronson Reed yet in his best Braun Strowman to Roman Reigns. Really, really fun, really, really good. It takes the big guy out of the equation to let the three little guys kind of have that quick flurry to a finish. And it gives you a reason to not beat Bronson Reed, which is always nice because I love the idea that Bronson Reed is this mercenary for hire and that he's willing to, if the pay is right, he's willing to take on and do anything to anybody. But at the same time, he's not unstoppable because they found another big guy who can do what he can do. And I think Ivar is a vastly underrated wrestler. I've watched him for years locally. And people respect War Machine as a tag team, or the War Raiders or the Viking Raiders, however you want to call them. They respect him as a tag team, but I don't think that Hansen or Ivar gets the respect that he deserves when it comes to his singles career and his ability to do the things he can do. And so I like the idea that you use him to write Bronson Reed off this match. You use him to take the big guy who should be the obvious choice to win this match. In terms of if you're looking at them, you go, the big guy, he's going to win. So I like that you go ahead and you do that. You write him off, and you have these three guys doing the finish. And of course, the finish comes with Cameron Grimes. They have a flurry of spots. Everybody's doing things, super kicks galore, this thing, that thing, clotheslines, all kinds of fun stuff. Cameron Grimes goes ahead and hits the cave-in on Johnny Gargano, which writes off Johnny Gargano. And then as soon as Cameron Grimes gets up to try to go ahead and see what Wes Lee's doing, boom, Wes Lee's already midway through the cardiac kick, hits Cameron Grimes with it, pins him 1, 2, 3, and Dominic Mysterio must now face Wes Lee at Deadline for the North American Championship. It's a fun match. I'm excited to see that match again. I think this is the match where Dominic Mysterio loses his North American Championship, and this is the last time I think that we see Dominic in NXT for the extended period of time. And good riddance to bad rubbish by Dom. Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. No, this is a whole bunch of fun. I don't remember the other part of this deal that somehow came out throughout the entire show. They kept mentioning it, that if Wes Lee had lost this match, he was not able to challenge Dominic Mysterio ever again for the North American Championship. I don't remember that being part of the deal last week, but apparently it got added at some point that I just missed. So that was fun. And that was the end of NXT tonight. It was a really good, like I said, there was a lot of good stuff on here. There was some stuff I didn't really love, and there was some stuff that was just pretty good. Overall, it was a pretty entertaining show. The 2 hours, drama, life drama beside, the show was pretty good. I enjoyed the show. It kind of moved. It was all right. Your Barry Monkey saying, after seeing Reed and Impact and having some great matches, glad he's getting a chance in WWE. Yeah, Bronson Reed, Jonah Reed, Jonah Rock, whatever you want to call him. Big Nips, I believe, is what Mel called him from his time in New Japan. The dude's a monster, but the dude reminds me of Vader. Like when I think of Bronson Reed, I think of Vader. He's a big guy who can work. He can hang with the little guys long enough. And he's not just a one-dimensional big guy. He doesn't just have I'm big guy. I do punch and I do kick. He can really do a bunch of fun stuff. He can bounce off the ropes. He does the splash, the tsunami off the top rope. There's some fun stuff in his repertoire that most big guys don't do. Same reason why I like Ivar. They're very similar in that respect. And it reminds me of, like I said, it reminds me of Vader. It has that same kind of feel for me when I watch these guys wrestle. And that's the biggest compliment, one of the biggest compliments I can give to a big guy, because Vader is one of my favorite wrestlers. I think Vader is vastly underrated by the younger fans who don't really know what he is. And he was in a business in a different time, in a different place. And the things he did were so different from the big guys that you used to see then that are more typical now. But either way, it was a very good show. I really enjoyed it. You can go ahead and find me at the places right down here on the X at edfries12584. You can find me on my own personal Twitch, where I simulcast almost all of my content from here. edfries2002. You'll be seeing more content on there in the coming days, weeks, and months ahead, as we're going to go ahead and put more content on the Twitch side. As you know, I'm an affiliate, so I want to put some content on there, and hopefully some people can subscribe and help support me so I can put more money into my PC. I can put more money into the games I can get, so they can go ahead and do more fun stuff on that. Also, make sure that you don't forget to follow my wonderful, amazing tag team partner, Astrid Bizarro. You can find her on X and Blue Sky at Astrid Bizarro. You can find her on Instagram and Threads at Astrid Bizarro 20. You can find her on the Twitch at twitch.tv/Astrid Bizarro. And of course, you can find her on YouTube at youtube.com/@Astrid Bizarro. All kinds of fun stuff she has going on. She has the Ladies Wrestling Showcase coming up later on this week. Probably, if they can find the time. Also, remember, it's probably a bad time. It's a couple days late, but Black Friday is here. Cyber Monday's here. WWE Shop is doing a ton of deals. If you're going to be buying your WWE merch anyways, please go ahead and scan the QR code on your screen right now. Please scan this QR code if you're going to be buying your WWE Shop. This is an affiliate link that is Astrid's. It goes ahead and supports her with a little bit of extra money, not from you, but from WWE. They take a little bit less money for them, and you give it to Astrid, which is always a good thing. So make sure, if you're going to be buying WWE merchandise for your friends, for your family, for yourself, with all these fantastic holiday deals, please make sure that you go ahead and do that. And talking about merch, Astrid has her own merch. You can go ahead and get this wonderful shirt that was created by a friend of Astrid's, and it's done by the For Your Wear. So you can go ahead and find it on Astrid Bizarro's Twitter. You can go ahead and message her on there. You can go ahead and see all the posts that she has about it. It's a wonderful shirt, fantastic design. I absolutely adore it. If it was in my size, I'd get one for myself. Whew. That's been taking over. I've been Ed Fries. Let's see. We've got a couple last-minute comments. We got Barry Monkey saying, it was certainly a better show than the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the last 2 weeks were bad, but I think there was definitely a more stable show. There was a lot of good things that happened on this show. The bad wasn't as bad, and the good was better. And the middle stuff was just kind of the same. So it's overall, I think it was a really good show. I don't know if it was better than the last 2 weeks. I really enjoyed some of the stuff in the last 2 weeks. But you know what? It's nice to see that you had a good time tonight, Barry, after saying yes to Ladies Wrestling Showcase. So, for myself, for the wonderful Astrid Bizarro in the chat, please make sure you come check us out next week as we head into Deadline Week. I have been Old Ed Fries, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Everyone is watching.